Well, if you're just joining us, you are watching Nigeria Decides on Plus TV Africa. Now, we'll be looking at securing Nigeria's borders. It's very important, Tiffy.
Absolutely, yes. And the greatest challenge facing Nigeria today is international, or if you like, global terrorism that is aided by religious extremism, porosity of borderline and cross-border security challenges, and, of course, crime. We still have with us Dixon Osaji, a security consultant, and he'll be throwing light on issues around this.
Thank you, Osagi, for staying with us. Now, the Interior Minister, Abdulrahman Dambazo, has in the recent times blamed the security or insecurity in the states across the Federation on governments. In fact, governors of those states.
Right back.
Yes, he's saying that he states that close family relationships between traditional rulers in Nigeria and even neighboring countries constitute a strong hindrance to efforts at securing the country's porous borders. And some people would wonder, what on earth does that mean?
Well, we are not prepared. We are not prepared because. According to Xerox, it says when disaster struck, the time to prepare has passed. Nigerian, by default, is a nation under threat. Our geographical design has already placed us naturally under threat. Until the federal government begins to see into border security, the spate of insecurity will continue to strive. And that is why I really appreciate the President of America. He demanded for $5 billion to protect a border. And some set of people said, no, the money is too much. You see, just what we call the replaceable and irreplaceable. If I have $1 billion today and I lost that money, while I'm still alive, I can still have that money replaced. If I lost my life today, I will never replace my life. So the human lives are irreplaceable. And that is why this man demanded for that $5 billion, because he knew that if anything goes wrong with any American citizens, it's going to be a minus to the state. I respected him for that. Because you can never, in any situation, equate or balance money with human being.
Absolutely.
Because money is replaceable, while human beings are irreplaceable. Now, why did I say by default our country naturally is under threat? When you go to the southeast, we are bordered by Cameroon on a distance of about 1,960 square kilometers. When you go to the northeast, we are bordered by Chad Republic on a distance by road now. The two instances I'm telling you is by road. We are distance on a distance of 87 kilometers between Nigeria and Chad Republic. When you go to the north, we are bordered by Niger Republic on a distance of about 1,447 kilometers or thereabouts. When you come to the southwest, our neighbor here, Benin Republic, we are bordered about 773 kilometers by road. Then when you go to the coast of Guinea, there is we are bordered with about 853 kilometers on the coast. This very country I've mentioned to you are surrounding Nigeria. Nigeria is right in the middle. And these 5 countries I've mentioned to you, they are all Francophone speaking countries. Nigeria is the only country that sits in the middle that is an Anglophone speaking country. So we are the English speaking country. The 5 countries that surrounded us are French speaking country. That is a natural threat on its own. Now, if peradventure the English and the British go to war, that's what we call the coalition. Cameroon, Niger, Benin, there will not be a coalition to the Britain. There will be a coalition to the French. That implies that from the east, west, south, and north, Nigeria will be consumed. And that is why we need to start seeing the effect of border security. If we don't start spending money to protect our borders, Nigeria will pay for it someday soon. Because we might be saying that, is it possible for the English and the Britain to go to war? Yes, it's possible. In 1803, during the Napoleonic War, that lasted for 12 years, 5 months, 4 weeks, and about a few days, was a war between the Britain and the French. And we'll see some coalition country taking side with the French, some coalition country taking side with the Britain, and at the end of the day, Napoleon, the king, was defeated. That happens in 1803. That war lasted for 12 years. It was the longest war in the history of our time. So when we look around and see that we need to start prepared because Nigeria is sitting on a time bomb. We need to start investing money on our border security.
Now,
Let's just backpedal. Sorry,
yes,
Ify, let's just backpedal before we get to this point. When did we become so laid back? What led to us feeling okay and at home with our neighbors so much so that we didn't think that we needed to build a wall like Trump, or put some barbed wire or whatever it is so we could earmark? I keep telling people, from Cross River, from Ikom local government to Cameroon, it's like you want to cross a gutter to drink beer. That's how you've moved from one country to another. And there's nothing showing that that's a border per se. So anybody can come and go. So what made us feel that at home and let our guards down so much so that right now we're talking about the porousness of our borders? Let's start from the beginning.
Okay, that's how it's happened. We have this mentality, especially in our country. In security parlance, the word "God forbid" is not applicable. It's not welcome. But we discovered that what you are saying now, some people on air are saying "God forbid." Even what I'm saying now, people watching me live will say, "God forbid, there'll be no war. There'll be no war." That's not what is implied. For the fact that we got covered by God doesn't mean that we should not have protective measures in place. Doesn't mean that we shouldn't have deterrence measures in place. Now, looking at ICOM, as you have earlier said, as at 20 years ago, I was in the border. I served in the border from Cross River State. I was in the Armored Division in ICOM 245 Battalion. From that battalion, I was among the contingent that fought the Bakassi War at Operation Harmony 4. Now, you will see from that border, while we are in the border, let's take, for example, Umfum border, because there are two borders there. We have the water force and we have the Umfum borders. Now, from that water force, I remember vividly, sometimes in February 1999, that was exactly 20 years ago, while in that border, a guy came to meet me and tell me, say, "Oga, smugglers are passing the other road. Where the military, paramilitary, custom, immigration are projected, those guys don't took that route. They have their own alternative routes in which they smuggle." Now, what are they smuggling? Peradventure, they are smuggling arms and ammunition. Peradventure, they are smuggling narcotic drugs. Peradventure, they are smuggling food that could be poisonous to the state. So that implies that when we start looking at border security, we will arrive at a safer nation. Because first of all, before we look at border security, the Nigerian government should establish a committee that will carry out a national risk analysis of our borders. We need to carry out national risk analysis of our borders. Check from the east, west, south, and north. What's going on wrong? What is going to be the cost? Because the truth is, the cost for you to put security application in place is far, far cheaper when the price, of course.
Okay, now we know that the United States, the President of the United States has done a lot. He's still insisting even to do what he has to do to secure the Mexican border. We also know that the Brexit deal by Theresa May of the UK, that border security is somewhat at the heart of it, because they're also talking about stemming migration. Now, in Nigeria, some people will say that we don't even know how many borders we have. Is that the reality?
I've just mentioned the nations that we are bordered.
Yes, but then it's about the spaces, the borders themselves. It's not just about the countries. With a country, you can have as much as 2 borders. So some people say that we have hundreds of
borders that surrounded Nigeria is just the one I've mentioned to you now.
So we essentially have 4 borders?
5 plus the coast of Guinea, that's 5 borders.
Okay.
And those borders are the immediate exits and entry.
But then they spread across different states.
They spread across interest. When you go through Benin Republic, you can go to Ghana. When you go through Niger Republic, you can go to Cameroon. When you go to Cameroon, you can go to Niger.
Now, I'm talking about states in Nigeria because I recently discovered that there was a place in, I think, Akwa Ibom, where you could actually literally cross to, I think, Cameroon. Because that was where the slaves used to be docked before they took them into the ship.
Before transportation.
But so entry points, precisely. The entry points into
some of them are
Nigeria.
by water, some are by land.
The entry points into Nigeria from Cameroon, from Benin Republic here, is the border here, the same border.
Okay, so how come if we know the borders and we are sure that, oh, it's this 5, how come we haven't been able to move them?
Now, the exploitation of criminal application is not that route. That's what we talk about, loopholes. Now, this is a road to Nigeria. There are other routes you can take, illegal routes you can take.
So we have entry points, yeah?
No, official point of entry. We have official point of entry.
Okay.
Now, the illegal route now I'm talking about is what the federal government need, because definitely if I'm coming to this very studio now, I can come through different routes.
So does the federal government know all of these illegal entry points?
Sure, the federal government should know of the illegal entry points. And the custom agency, the immigration agency, they are very much aware. I gave you an instance in border. There are illegal entry points that are not manned by security agency, because what makes a border legal is when it's being manned and there are rules and regulations put in place. That's what makes it borders.
Okay. So what's going on at these illegal borders? Who is there and what is going on? How do people even come in? Or is it just a free-for-all?
It should be a free-for-all, and sometimes the security agency, let's not discredit them that much, they are still trying their best to contain those loopholes. People will definitely start coming. How many times, how many minutes, how many months, how many days do you want to keep placing deterrence measures in place to ensure you are going to... See, let me tell you something. Border security is very cheap to provide.
How so?
Because the federal government now, what is the cost of helicopter? The federal government can purchase like 10 helicopters and program two for the meantime, while we are waiting for the funds, or peradventure they are trying to start a border security and border fencing. They should provide something like the helicopters that will carry out surveillance within these areas that are these loophole areas where possible smuggling will take place. Are you with me? So if we have two helicopters now flying semi-border, you'll be cautioned, because there is what we call psychological deterrence measure. Like this light now is glaring at me. If somebody is coming to steal here, the first thing he has to come into his memory is that I am under watch. So psychologically, he will be demoralized. So we need to ensure we apply psychology into security applications. You understand what I'm talking about? So the federal government, what they need to do before they start voting funds into border security, they should have National Border Patrol. They should have a lot of surveillance applications there.
Now, what are the things that Nigeria is losing because we have illegal entry points? Can you touch on the things that, you know, it's costing the country? The fact that we have police borders, and then we have a lot of porous borders that we can't even tell the number. What
my business here is not what is going to cost. My business is hope it will not take human lives. Okay. That's very important, because the essence of border security, because people are there was a day I heard on television, one of our ministers was saying the Nigerian custom is making money. The reason why Nigerian custom is established in our border is not to make money for this country. We must get that clear. The reason is to ensure that Nigerians are safe from narcotic drugs, Nigerians are safe from illegal productions. That is the primary purpose. Right, the secondary purpose is to make money.
Quickly, before we go, we're out of time. Dambazo again said that government is using technology to monitor these borders. Okay. So far, do you think this has yielded anything whatsoever, any positives? And again, Nigeria recently entered into, Nigeria and Niger Republic entered into an understanding to enhance border security in line with, you know, ECOWAS protocol on free movement. Do you see that helping to curtail some of the illegal immigration?
That ECOWAS or the memorandum of understanding they are talking about, let that play. They should protect our borders. There's no country without a border. What makes Nigeria Nigeria is the borders. A border, for example, if you have a plot of land in Lagos, what gives you that land is the beacons of the land and the survey plan. That shows that this mark of land is my land. Now, the mark of Nigeria, we need to start protecting that border. Now, coming back to Dambozo, he says that there are technological applications put in place to ensure. Where is the control room for that technological applications? Because when you have technological applications in place, from a control room like this, you'll be able to sense an imminent danger, control the security agency on that point, go to XYZ location. We are citing here from Abuja, some people are smuggling items into that zone. Until we begin to invest totally in security, Nigeria will begin to have security issues, and that's just the bitter truth.
Wow, there's a lot for us to keep pushing our governments to, you know, get, because technology, the world is going in that direction. Artificial intelligence is the way to go, I guess. And
that's the way forward. Thank you so much, Dixon Osaji, security consultant, for joining us, and your insights are well appreciated.
Thank you.
Well. Thank you, of course, this is still Nigeria Decides. I will bring you news update in just a moment, and then the show continues after that. Don't go away.